Hey, everybody, I'm Brandy Kelly, and I'm a superintendent on a mission to lead with hope. The Lead with Hope podcast is a bi weekly podcast that will inspire and empower you to lead with hope. Today, I'm excited to talk to Dr. Amy Dixon. Currently, Dr. Dixon proudly serves at Harrisburg Unit 3 as a superintendent. Prior to becoming an administrator, she served in various districts as a school social worker. It's great to have you on the show today, Dr. Dixon.
I am so excited to be here, Brandy. I love the work that you do. It's just an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm excited. As you well know, we are both social workers. That's where we started our educational journey. And in my work, I don't run across many administrators who are also social workers. So why don't you just start out by telling us about your story? Tell us who you are and a little bit about the work that you do.
Yeah. So, Brandy, I'm just a perfectly imperfect person who loves kids big, and I love to serve their families, the people we work with, and really have a passion for growing strong leaders. Our kids deserve it, and our schools need it desperately. Just I really did not aspire to be a school leader, but just had kind of really a couple things that really stick out in my mind that led me to school leadership. First of all, I had one of those epiphanies in life my freshman year in college when I really didn't know what I wanted to do. um, I had a friend of mine take their life, and I remember thinking, I never want to be in that situation of not being able to help people, knowing someone's struggling and not really sure how to help. And so I really think that is when the passion for helping others and wanting to spend my life doing something to help those around me. And then I was, just fortunate to have a really strong mom who really, I mean, both my parents are great, but she really understood my desire to help other people. And she's the one that planted the seed and said, hey, in schools, they have this thing called a school social worker. And I know you love kids, and I just think this might be. I should say she was an educator, and I always fought it. I did not want to teach, and did not think that I wanted to work in schools. And she introduced me to what a school social worker does. And really, from that point on, I really was passionate about creating opportunities for kids and building those relationships with them. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then, once you work in schools, then your eyes are open to just all the ways that you want to remove barriers for kids and just continue to build relationships. And everyone needs a place to belong and connect. And so then that's probably why the passion for leadership kicked in. I just had an amazing female former superintendent that said, I think you would be great at administration and you should do this. And so that's kind of where it took off from there. So here I am. I worked as a principal for 20 years, and actually 22 years. And then I've been superintendent for a hot 18 months. So we'll see how this goes.
And it's interesting. I love to hear everybody's story, but your story really resonates with me because, what kind of pushed you into the roles that you have assumed in education has been some adversity. You have dealt with some tragedy, some grief, and I really do believe that sometimes through adversity, we can find our passion and find our purpose, and it will help us to become the people that we were meant to be. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And then you talked a little bit about being a principal. You were an elementary principal, correct?
Yeah, so my first principalship was at a regional office of education I was the principal of their safe school and alternative ed program. And it was really a great place to start. I had worked as a school social worker for 5 years, so I didn't have a ton of experience when I took my first principalship. But those students were struggling to be successful in school. And so people were just really open to a person coming in and just trying new things. So it was a great opportunity for me to learn and grow and make mistakes along the way as well, because I certainly did. But just had really incredible people supporting me, and just loved making connections with the kids. But after a couple of years, um, I had I accepted my first principalship, and 2 months later found out I was pregnant with my first child, and I panicked a little bit. I had never seen a female principal that was pregnant. Times have changed over the last many years, but at that time, I was a little panicked. But as we started growing our own family, I had the opportunity to take an elementary position, where my husband and I grew up around my family. So we, uh, I worked there for 20 years as a principal in a couple of different buildings and a curriculum director, and I loved every minute of it.
And I love quotes. The quote that makes me think of is, "We can have roots and wings both at the same time." And I think your story kind of shares that. You were able to give back to the community that you guys grew up in, but yet your dreams are big. And you can see that in the work that you do. And it's dreams to help other people, it's dreams to serve and to give back to this profession that you love so much. And, through the years as an elementary school principal, one of the best things about being an elementary school principal, in my opinion, are those moments when you go to the grocery store or to out to dinner with your family, and the littles, they're like, "Mom, look, that's my principal." I mean, you become a rock star, you know?
You're right, you do, and, I mean, my personal kids laugh at that because they're like, "Oh my goodness, they have no idea," but, yes, you do, you feel and isn't that such a humbling reminder of just how important you are
Mhm.
in the lives of the kids that you serve, and just how important your words and actions are each and every day, because those littles are watching, and they hold you to such a high standard in their life. And it's fun and I love it. But definitely a great reminder to all of us of how important the job is that we do. So yeah, super fun.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, and I completely agree with you. Principals, they play an important role in the life of a child. So, thinking about that, just reflecting on that, how has that changed from your perspective as you moved into the superintendency?
For me, as I move into the superintendency, I've just really had to create new habits and opportunities to be in classrooms and be in schools, because I have to have that connection in order for me to feel fulfilled in my job. So that may be just in the morning, standing outside with principals at drop off and getting to learn the kids, just doing walkthroughs at buildings, spending lunch in the cafeteria with them. But I have found I may not look like the superintendent that was there before,
Mhm.
but I think that's another important piece for all of us. Like, we have to lead with our true selves, and we have to just be ourselves. And so for me, I have to stay connected to classrooms. And that's hard because, as you know, we could sit behind the desk all day long answering emails, writing grants, whatever it is you're trying to do to grow the district. But if we just put those little routines in our day and make sure that we're in buildings and connected to kids, it's so fulfilling. And so I can say in Harrisburg, where I am now, I did go to Walmart this spring, and I had a little run up to me and give me a big hug, and I was like, "Oh yes, this feels so good. It feels like home now." So yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
it's
That's
fun.
awesome. Well, Amy, those habits that you talk about, establishing them, no matter what role that you serve in, I think it does give our day in, day out, our activities, our task. It gives us more purpose. It keeps us connected to what is important and why we do the work that we do. And that is, it's easy to get lost because
Yes.
of the busyness of our jobs. And I know you have been a superintendent, you said, for 18 months. I just finished my second year and
Okay.
still learning a ton. And in small schools, you kind of get to do a little bit of everything. The school that I serve in is less than 500 kids. How many kids do you serve?
We have right at 1,800 kids, but it's still broken into small buildings and is that small feel, and I love it. Yeah, it gives us an opportunity to really get to know our kids and our families and our staff too. It's um, you may call them a family or a team or whatever, but they really are your people that you're with most of your day, and those hours, as you know, I think as I get older and further in my career, I realize those minutes that we have throughout the day really are few and fleeting. And so it is important to be really intentional with those minutes and to really build those relationships. So yeah, I'm still learning all of that and learning to juggle that. So but it's been super fun.
Yeah, and relationships are the core. That's what matters. It's the people that we work with every single day that give our lives purpose. So,
Sure.
with that being said, I know you are very passionate about leadership, and you work with IPA in terms of building leaders, building that capacity, and whether we're talking about women in leadership or leadership in general, we're facing a bit of a crisis in education. So, one of the mottos that IPA used in the past was Leaders of Hope, or can you help me with that? What was that specific motto?
Yeah, it was every year the IPA president gets to pick their theme for the annual conference, and really that is the theme that drives the whole year.
Mhm.
So there has been, Leaders of Hope has been certainly one of them, and I love what you've done with Hope because in your acronym, every letter of Hope is just truly a recipe to be successful as a leader. So I love that.
Yeah, and with that theme of Leaders of Hope, when you think about hope, having
Yeah.
that experience with IPA, having the experiences you've had in the field of school social work and being a principal and now a superintendent, what does the word hope mean to you?
I think the jobs are hard.
Mhm.
And I think educators are some of the hardest working people around, and they're also the most critical on themselves. Right? They want to do well by all of our students. So, I think I think for me, hope just means that reminder that you really do have the capacity to leave your school better better tomorrow than you found it today. And I think what I want to remind people, especially young leaders, is don't do this work on your own because it is difficult work and you need to really build that network of people around you
Mhm.
that has you on those hard days, that will help you through, that can talk through an issue. um, as adults, sometimes we just overcomplicate it, and it's not that hard. If you love kids always, if you're passionate about what you do and you're intentional in how you spend your time with people, um, it really will all come together. So I think that for me, that passion is what helps you persevere on those hard days. But it's just that hope of knowing that tomorrow will be better, and who you surround yourself with matters, whether you're a student or an adult. You Our staff and our students deserve our positive energy, and we deserve to have that around us as well. But I think as leaders, we have to bring that energy, and we have to bring that vision and that intention to our team. And once people have that vision, then they'll move mountains to make things happen for kids. But I think as a leader, it's our job to really focus people and get them headed in the same direction, and just set that expectation. But yeah, overall, I think hope for me is just that belief that we really can make a difference and tomorrow can be better, and we don't have to do it alone. We've got great people around us that will help us, and people that have walked our walk already, that can help pull us through those tough days.
Yeah, that is so perfectly said. And yesterday I was listening to a podcast by Patrick Lencioni. He does the At the Table podcast, and he was talking about the importance of being vulnerable. And
Mm.
that's one of the things I think is so endearing about you, Amy. You are able to you know, share your story with authenticity and vulnerability, and I can see how people could connect with you very quickly and see how you build those relationships with that authenticity and vulnerability. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for bringing that to the podcast today, because it's something that we need in our world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You talked about facing adversity. Just in the last 9 months at, at my district, um, we've had a principal change at one of the buildings. And instead of just replacing that principal, I shifted most people around. So they're in new roles. We've lost a student. We've watched students lose a parent, and um, there's nothing more heartbreaking than watching a student just go through that loss. And um, again, just reminds us of how important um, we are to families, because oftentimes when that adversity hits them, they turn to us at school for guidance and support, and just helping students through that. It's just, yeah, it's just that reminder. And um, but it also, I do believe it's the best job in the world. The fact that you get to influence students and that ripple effect to their families and the communities, it truly is the best job in the world. So maybe that's where that hope comes into. You want to always remind people that it really is a great profession. It's just that some days it can feel a little daunting. And I'll tell you, I still have never mastered my email. It's still hot mess. Like, I don't care how many hours I spend on it. I always feel behind. And but we all have that thing, right, that we're working on. So
Yeah, absolutely. Those are our growth gaps. And we've just got to be intentional and consistent in developing new habits every day to overcome those obstacles. But it's and I think this is what makes social workers good administrators, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Um, and that is the fact that we can look at those kinds of things, and we can take a step back and reframe the obstacles into opportunities. We can look at the big picture. We can look at the systems. And we know that at the core, it's those simple things. It's the relationships. It's the daily practices. It's the having gratitude for every moment. We know that what we focus on grows, and so we have to focus on the important things. We have to bring positivity, and it's not to say we don't have bad days, but even in the face of a bad day, we've got to bring our best self, because our jobs are a privilege but also a heavy responsibility.
it truly is. And Brittany, I'm glad you brought that up too. Um, I think because of our background, like I'm thankful that I'm just automatically an optimistic person. Like, it is super easy for me to find the positive in every moment and every person that I encounter. And I know not everyone shares that. Um, but but I think that's contagious. And I think the more you share that for your staff, the more they begin to look for that positivity. I will tell you, as a school social worker, I was scared to step into leadership because I was afraid the teachers would not take me seriously. And especially when it came to evaluation, I thought, I've never taught a day in my life.
Mhm.
But what I realized quickly, and what every educator knows, and this job truly is all about relationships and building relationships. And I will say every day that I use all of those things I learned in being a good school social worker. I use those skills each and every day, and I think they're valuable for leadership, because you can learn how to write a good lesson plan. You can learn great instructional practices. And I honestly went back to school to get my doctorate because I did feel deficient in those areas. But what I quickly learned is we all just spending time in classrooms, just
Mhm.
learning from the very best teachers, being having that willingness to just listen to others, to hear their concerns, and then just validate that, and not try to be something you're not, or not try to be an expert in a field you're not, but also sitting right next to your staff, working hard alongside them, to grow and learn. So as they would learn about new instructional practices, I was sitting there learning with them. And I think that is what begins to build that trust and respect. And then they do see that you've been right there in the trenches with them and you've been learning, and they know, like, this is what we're trying with kids. This is our new initiative. And she does understand and knows that and what it should look like. And so I just don't, if there's any other counselors, social workers out there that are thinking about jumping into school leadership, I certainly hope that they will, because it really, I was putting more barriers on myself
Mhm.
than other people were. Other people were very open, once they saw that I was going to listen and learn from them and jump in and support them, because at the end of the day, leadership can't be, I gotcha, or I'm going to put all these practices and policies in place. I mean, it's about building relationships, bringing out the best in people, and just, we all have something to learn from one another. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because yes, those social work skills definitely are used every day with students and families and your own staff. And I'm just very thankful that I've had the background I have.
Yeah, and that's part of, being a leader is putting together the right people in the right places at the right time. And we aren't all going to have great strengths in every area, but
Right.
I felt the exact same way that you did going into leadership. I felt deficient in a lot of ways, and that's also why I continued to go back to school. I consider myself a lifelong learner, but it was through the training and the education I received on that leadership front that it just reaffirmed that, okay, I am doing what I need to do, and modeling is the most powerful way to to help people to learn and grow. And being in the trenches, like you said, that's a powerful example that you're giving to your people. So thank you for your leadership. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate what you're doing, Brady, because I think when people listen to this podcast, it just inspires them and helps them.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Now, the next question is about that lead with hope construct. And I believe
Okay.
that's a system of self efficacy. H stands for habits, O for optimistic outlook, or we can also think of it as mindset. P for passion, purpose, and perseverance, and E for excellence. So, for you, which area resonates most and why?
Well, we already talked about, I'm thankful that I'm just, optimism is easy for me. So it's easy for me to find the positive in those moments. I think for me, probably the passion. I think, the passion is what drives me each and every day, um, and the purpose, and that's also what helps me persevere, through the hard times. So I think when you're passionate about serving kids and you really feel like it is your calling, it's then you don't. I will say, and again, I don't want to say days aren't hard. I don't want to make it rosy. There are difficult days, but when it's your passion, you don't feel like you truly work a day in your life. Like you really get up and you're just ready to attack the day for kids. So I think that's the one for me. Also, just to be honest, though, being new to my position, so I told you I switched to a different district. I've been there 18 months. I now have a 35-minute drive to work that I've never had before. So
Mhm.
I'm still in the process of building
Mhm.
new habits to take care of myself. And I'm transitioning to an empty nester as our kids are 19 and 22. So just trying to build new habits to be able to, um, be all of those other things that we are as a mom and a daughter and a wife and all of those different jobs. So I think I'm in the process of still establishing new habits, and I think that's super important. But for me, it's my passion that probably resonates with me the most, and just gives me that energy to just get up and try to create opportunities for kids.
Mhm. And for many of us, that passion is what fuels everything else,
Yeah.
It just gives us the motivation to keep going and to do the things that we love to do for the people that we love the most. So, thinking about that, Do you have any passion projects that you're working on right now?
Oh, yes. So, when I first took this new job, I was doing a walkthrough of the campus, and we were in the second story of the high school, and a board member looked out, pointed out the window, and he said, "Those two empty lots over there are the only two lots on this block that the district doesn't own. We, as a new superintendent, you need to do something with those." Um, so he cast a vision for me, right? Like I was new in the job and I had no idea what I wanted to do with that, but it kind of stuck in my head. And really the stars kind of aligned for me because I had a great friend that was reviewing the district data with me before I started or right after I started the job. And we were looking at it and he said, "You do realize I think our graduation rate was only in the high 70%. He said, "You do realize that of your students that take just one CTE class at your high school, you have a 100% graduation rate." And at that moment, all of the pieces connected. I had the opportunity 3 days later to write a grant. And we have been able to acquire just under $1 million in grant money to build a new CTE facility. We did purchase those two empty lots, and we have just broken ground on our new CTE facility because what I learned quickly was that our current CTE structure was full. We were trying to teach um, industrial tech or the wood shop and welding and auto all in the same spot space, and it was crowded, and not all of the kids that wanted to take a CTE course could get in because that space was too cramped. So we're building a new building, and I'm just super thankful to be able to provide that opportunity for our kids. But I think the leadership lesson in that for me is unbeknownst to the board member, he really was casting that vision for me.
Mhm.
And once he planted that seed, then I my eyes were more open to, okay, what does the data tell me that we need for these kids? Where m- Keeping your eyes open to grant opportunities that are out there that'll help make that dream come true. And it just all comes together. So I think as a leader, never underestimate the importance for you to cast that vision for your staff. Because again, like I said earlier, educators are the hardest working people out there. They'll move mountains for a kid if they see the vision, if they know where we're headed, if we know what the task ahead is. So that has been my passion project. It is certainly not complete. We've just broken ground, but it's well on the way. And I'm just really excited because I think that'll be great opportunities for our kiddos because we've got to get them graduating first, right? And then
Absolutely.
seeing them fly. So our graduation rate has come up a little bit, but I think when we get this new facility open, we will continue to be able to connect more of our students. We all know that, right? They all need a place to
Mhm.
connect and belong. And when I ask them, like, why do you like the CTE classes? Of course, it's a no brainer. They all say, well, we can use our hands and we're not sitting and getting, and we
Yeah.
can build something. We can make that connection to real life. So I'm just really excited about that. So that's my current passion project.
Mhm. That's cool. That is very cool. And that CTE piece, I've been talking to different people about the connection between CTE and SEL, and you outlined that
Yes.
perfectly right there. Our kids need a place where they belong, but it goes even further than that. You were talking earlier about, as a school social worker, sometimes we get in our way thinking we can't do that leadership thing, but our kids are the same way. There are times that they need something to excel in, to build that confidence, to build that sense of self-efficacy, so then they can go out and they can try something else. Just because they're taking CTE courses doesn't mean they're going to go into a trade. I mean, it just kind of opens up their world, and that's what we want for them, so that they have whatever opportunity that they set their mind to, right?
You're exactly right, and there's nothing better than seeing a student that struggles in the classroom and then you're right, shines in that CTE environment. It's amazing to me how they can be near failing a math class, but they can add and subtract fractions when it comes to building, like no one's business. I've got my pencil and paper over there trying to make sure that they're right, and they just have it in their head when they're out there with a tape measure and building it all connects for them.
Mhm.
um, and yeah, you love it when kids find their passion or find their thing, like you said, that they're good at, even if it doesn't lead to their ultimate career.
Mhm.
um, that personal buildup, you know, there's all that research that shows that, um, not only do SEL standards increase, LCL learning increases their academics, but there's also all of that research that shows if kids are successful academically or in our classrooms, it automatically has a positive impact on that social emotional learning. And I think that's so important I think we do better in education now than we did before, realizing the connection between the two.
Yeah,
I think we have a long way to go, but I think people start to realize that connection. So you're right. I'm glad you pointed that out. Kids, we all need to feel good about something that we do.
we do. We do. We have to build that sense of self-efficacy and surround ourselves with the people that, are going to help to um, build us, help us
Yeah.
to learn and grow and become the best version of whoever it is that we are meant to be in this world. So, Amy, I think I could talk to you all day. We have so much in common and you are truly a joy to talk to. But as we wrap up today, I
Sure.
am wondering, how can the listeners get in touch with you and connect with you after this podcast?
Well, I'm not super active on, I guess I call it X now. I'm so used to saying Twitter, but just my name, Dr. Amy Dixon. And then I think probably the easiest way to connect from a leadership standpoint, Dr. Dan Kraus and I host the lead webinars. Thanks to the Illinois Principals Association, Dr. Sue Holmes and Dr. Jason Leahy have really given us that opportunity. They knew this was something we were super passionate about. We don't make any money. We don't get paid to do it. It's not that. But we just provide, the IPA provides a free webinar monthly, and we'll kick it off on September 12th. But those are for any leader. We started thinking that they were for new leaders. We wanted to grow new leaders. And then we quickly realized most of our feedback was coming from people that had been leaders for years. And they were saying, they just enjoy getting new ideas and having new connections. So we changed it to just learning leaders. And so our podcasts, you just on the IPA website, they'll push those out starting in the fall. And our first one kicks off September 12th at 4 Central Time. We also record them that you can listen to later. But that's just a time where we really interact, not only with our guests, but if anyone has any questions or wants to hang on after the
Mhm.
webinar, just a passion project of ours that we love. So I think we have Heather Baker's our first one. She's a school administrator up by the Rockford area, but just has just the most compelling story. And I don't want to give it away, but just about wellness. And so many people talk about wellness, but she really walks the talk based on what she's gone through in life. So just excited to kick it off. And we've got a great lineup again this year. So that's probably the easiest way.
That's awesome. I am definitely going to check that out, and I look forward to seeing what Heather has to say on September 12th. So, as we conclude here, thank you, Amy, for being on the show today. And I hope we can stay in contact as we move forward. And we're in summer right now when this podcast is being recorded. So, I hope you are able to rest and relax and enjoy your summer as you prepare for the upcoming school year.
Brandy, I definitely will stay connected with you. We, like I said, we share so many of the same passions, and there's so few of us that share the same background. And I just can't wait to meet you in person. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And just good luck to everyone. I hope everyone has a great summer and a great FY25.
All right. Thanks a lot, Amy.
Thanks. Bye, Brandy.